And good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully it's a nice day for you guys in Austin. It's a pretty nice day for us, getting a little bit warmer, sunny. The sun's a nice factor, so I'm always really happy when we have kind of the sunny days. Although the warmer weather and less cedar is, the last two kind of things that would really, really tick off all the buttons and stuff like that. I am joined today by Ryan Kober. Ryan is a lot of things, but Ryan is an actor, is a chef, and is a food blogger, primarily about Austin, which is how we connected a while back for my Austin Spotlight magazine. And so I'm really excited to have him as a contributor to that, and excited to have him on here and kind of learn a little bit more about him and talk a little bit about Austin food too. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, it's awesome to be here. I'm always glad to talk about food and myself as a narcissist. It's great. But yeah, no, it's really great to be here.
That's awesome. And I also was like, every once in a while I'll reach out to some people about doing it, and they'll be a little nervous about how you do it. And after seeing the videos and stuff like that you put on social media, I'm like, oh, Ryan's not going to have this. Ryan will be all for something like this.
Yeah, so, I'm pretty comfortable in front of a camera.
Yeah, so I knew that would go well. But yeah, why don't you kind of give us a little bit about your origin story? I know, like, for most people, Austin isn't home, and it's kind of even more interesting when it is home, because it is seen kind of rare for a lot of people. But what's kind of your background, and how'd you get to Austin?
Okay, so I am originally from Long Island, New York. I've lived there my entire life. But my sister moved to San Antonio about like 10, 11 years ago, and started her family there. I'm currently in San Antonio right now visiting. But during like the pandemic and everything like that, she was just kind of like, nothing's really happening in New York. New York's kind of a little bit on fire right now. If you want to get away from there, I know mom and dad are going to be moving here eventually. Like, if you want to try out Austin, at least, like, you can be close to us, but like a little far away so that you can do your own thing. So, like, why don't you just check it out? And if you don't like it, go somewhere else, Mm-hmm. So I decided to do that. And literally on New Year's Day of last year, they came up for Christmas, and with their car and my car, we brought all my stuff down. I lived with them for a hot second, and I just automatically started applying to different places all over Austin, different restaurants and stuff like that. I eventually landed on Easy Tiger, which is a big part of Austin. They have 3 locations currently, and I'm one of the cooks there. Nice. But to get into how I got into cooking, it was kind of a weird happenstance. Like, I had just started getting into my food blog. I was really big on food photography originally. For myself, I started taking pictures of food. I really liked it. And I liked writing little love stories to all the food that I was eating. I was pretty much single and taking myself out on like little self dates, treat yourself, all that stuff. And I just kept like making all these posts, and more people started to like it. And my friend Abby saw it, and she was already food blogging at the time. And she was like, you have good content. Why don't you just make a separate account and just do a food blog? So I started doing that. I made the Fair Bear. And as I was doing that, I was still a starving actor, in New York City at the time. So, I was a bartender, I was a waiter, and I used this app called Jit Jat Joe, which was basically like Tinder for waiters and bartenders and stuff, where if you were basically in a certain area, you had a clean suit and tie that you could just go to a certain event, you could show up within a few hours and get paid for the job and go. I ended up at this place where they were doing this program called Story Course, which was basically this Broadway actor, Adam Cantor, and his business partner, Brian, were doing a like 6-course meal for these like almost Michelin star chefs that were telling their story of how they immigrated from wherever they were from to America, and doing that through a 6-course meal. So like they would send out a course, and then the guest would read out loud a chapter of their life, and then the next course would come out, and it would go like that. And that
Interesting.
was like, I'd been in restaurants, but I'd never really been in the kitchen before. But
Hmm.
because this was such a small and personal organization, everyone was doing everything to help set up, and I ended up in the kitchen, and I still had like my little like LED food blogging light, and I was staring at all this food, and I kept asking the chefs individually. I was like, your food looks amazing, can I take pictures of your food? And they were always like, yeah. No one just like comes up to you and is like, yeah, no, let me take pictures of your food.
Yeah.
So I decided
It's,
to
it's
do
it's
that.
their babies. They're like, oh yeah, sure, here, take pictures of
Exactly.
me. Yeah.
Like, I take, everyone else just like doesn't have like a food blogging light to make everything look nice. They usually just take like a rinky dink picture on their cell phone, but I always had my light on me. So I started taking pictures of all these chefs' food. And one of them, his name is Chef Bezad. He was so enamored by the food photography that I was taking that he was like, do you want to go to my next event? Like, I'm going to have private events outside of this one. Do you want to come along? And when you do that, do you want to be my sous chef for the evening? I'm a little low on staff. Do you want to just like help me out, help plate some food? I'll show you how to like, stir certain things here and there and get into it. And you could take food photography and I'll pay you. And I was like, yes, let's do that right now. I want to do that right now.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so I kept going to his events, and slowly but surely, like I started to get my own apron. I started to get my own chef's coat. And I was just like, I really want to do this. I like this way too much. This makes me smile a lot. Like I just love the interaction, the closeness of being in a kitchen with someone else, and to be with all the guests right there. And his food, like I love food, and his food was outrageous. And the fact that I got to take pictures, cook it, like taste it, everything, it was the ultimate for me, truly.
to,
So
to
I
actually to actually make the creation yourself, as much as you enjoyed the photography part of it, to be like the person behind the, again, the dinner, the meal that
Oh yeah.
that you get to take that photography for, was even more exciting for you.
Oh, it was even more special than I could have imagined. And eventually I was like, I kind of want to do this more. Do I go to culinary school? What's the next step for me? And he was like, no. No, 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 no. Do not go to culinary school. If you want to be in debt, you go to culinary school. But
Yeah.
if you truly, because from his experience, like he's gone to culinary school, he's been to France, he's done all the stuff, all the steps that every typical chef would do. And he was like, basically, if you want to learn the basics and learn them well and fast on your own, get into a kitchen and start from the bottom and work your way up top. And he was a consulting chef for this restaurant in the city, in New York City. I shouldn't just say the city, but we call it the city. Um, and he was a consulting chef just working on the menu. It was actually that Harry Potter style pop-up bar. I think it's called the Cauldron, where they were just doing like magical mixing cocktails and like all that stuff. And it was on BuzzFeed and everything like that. That got so popular that they wanted to get a whole menu for it, not just the alcohol.
Sure.
So he was tapped to do that, and he was like, "Well, since I'm doing this, I can probably get you in as a prep cook, because that's the lowest
Sure.
rank for
Yeah.
any kitchen." So he was like, "I'll get you in as that, but if you want it badly, you take it from there. If you really want to get up in the ranks, I can't just automatically make you a line
Sure.
cook. That's not how it works." So he was like, "You go from there, and if you want it badly, you'll make your way." So I started doing that, and slowly but surely, I went from that restaurant to the next. I kept making friends with other chefs through food blogging events, and I eventually met Chef Allison Fasano, who's been on, Chopped and a whole bunch of other Food Network shows. And she was like, I saw you cooking with this one chef, who it happened to be Tom Colicchio from the Food Network. He went to Chef Bezad's event. He was hosting one of his events one day, I ended up just taking a picture with him and a bunch of other chefs. And she saw that I was in that circle and she was like, I want you. You're from Long Island. I'm going to be cooking on Long Island all summer. Why don't you come join me? And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not the chef that you think I am.
Yeah.
I'm just starting out.
Just in the picture.
Yeah, I'm sweating bullets. She's thinking that like I'm some kind of like sous chef or something like that. I was like, no, it's not what this is. But like, thank you. I'll take it if you want to start me out at the bottom. I can do that. And she was like, well, listen, I will teach you everything that I know. It's just that no one's going to be going out to Long Island just to cook for the summer. Like it's just, yes, it is enticing to be out on Long Island for the summer, but like you got to find housing, you got to do all this stuff. She was like, if you live on Long Island, you can do this and I'll teach you. And I was like, if you're going to teach me, like, sold, let's do it. So I ended up cooking with her and one other chef in this tiny kitchen out east in the middle of summer. And because she had just been on Chopped, she was super popular. Our restaurant was booked all the time. It was awesome. But her sous chef at the time was going through some stuff. We had to get rid of him halfway through the summer. So it was just me and her and the dishwasher all summer. And that was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about trial by fire, literally, that was it. And so like I really learned to up my chops from there, and that helped a lot. And from there, I just followed her to all these different restaurants. And then, like everyone else, COVID happened and a lot of stuff shut down, So from there, I went to Texas. I did my thing. And I've just been doing the food thing, TikToks here and there, and just kind of, keep my head above water like everyone else, but trying to find all the small moments along the way.
Very nice. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously COVID, especially in the hospitality and restaurant space and stuff like that, has been pretty devastating to, there were just so many different restaurants that had to shut down because they couldn't, you're already running on such fine margins anyway at most restaurants to suddenly be, have either to not be able to be open or to have demand slip a little bit and stuff has just been a big challenge for sure.
Yeah, no, a lot of places have really been suffering. And I see some people still like giving food critics are still critiquing certain restaurants right now. And personally, I just don't think I don't think it's the time to be doing that. I think that we should just be encouraging to eat at certain places, like if we still enjoy certain places. But I don't think we can critique certain places for how they're functioning currently, because every restaurant is just suffering right now. And it's like, it could be a spot that you remember being really good, but like if you don't have the staff.
If they're at, again, half the staff that they were when they were at full capacity, because again, right, there's a lot of people in that space that had that because you had to find a job went into something else, and they aren't necessarily going back into the restaurant space or hospitality space. And so like I say, to even though restaurants that have made it through are back up and running for the most part, like again, even the ones that are back up and running are very few of them are at the same 100% capacity that they were pre-COVID.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's so like what I'm trying to do, at least with my food blog, is just highlight the places that have really wowed me, especially during these times, because if they can still turn out the food that is making me go like, holy crap, I need to go back. If they're still able to do that and churn out that type of food during these times, give that place your full support, because my God, that's a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah, no, that's been kind of one of the challenging things, is trying to go, like wanting to go to restaurants more to a degree, but also again, like I say, just being tricky as far as, do you get stuff delivered? Can you sit in locations? Just all the different kinds of stuff that, just the changes that have happened in that space. And so it's definitely something where you want to support, because it's, it's the cool thing with restaurants in a lot of cases is there's some of the more, a lot of times can be some, really define a neighborhood or a city. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of more chain types of restaurants, but especially the ones that are more mom and pop, or you know, a couple locations in a city and stuff. It's, those are the ones that you really want to help support. They're probably the ones that have the hardest time as well, and the ones that kind of give cities and neighborhoods their unique flair, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So no, one of the things that I've always kind of wondered too, like, you obviously have a huge passion for food, still do some of the food blog stuff as well too. Is it pretty common in your industry, or do you think you're kind of unique in the fact of like, hey, let me go work as a cook or do this for 40 hours or more a week, and then aside from that, let me go into more restaurants and deal with that stuff even more? For a lot of people, like, once they leave the actual 9 to 5, obviously it's not 9 to 5 for a chef, but once they kind of leave that space, sometimes they want to do other things to relax and unwind. But it seems like, not that you don't do some other things as well too, but it seems like you enjoy kind of checking out other places as well, on top of making it a career.
Yeah, I don't know. I just truly, I mean, as corny as this sounds, but like literally variety is the spice of life for me. And when I'm done working, I either want to cook something really good for myself that I'm not getting at the restaurant, or, I just don't normally have, or I want to go someplace else and give someplace else my full support because I just moved to Austin and I want to see what Austin has to offer. I mean, they're one of the food capitals of the world. It's part of the reason why I moved here. I want to see what they got, and it's my little treat. I've been standing on my feet for, 8 to 10 to 12 hours, depending on the shift. I want to relax, and food, having a good meal, like, and just like being outside on a beautiful day like today, like, that is my go-to. That's what I want to do. I can't get away from food. I don't want to get away from food. It's not something that I'm like, ugh, no more. It's just something that I'm constantly wanting to be around. I'm not sick of it, even though I stare at it all day, every day. But at the same time, my restaurant is a specific type of food.
Sure.
I will go anywhere else and try any type of food, but like, if it's like a burger and some schnitzel and some pretzels, I've already had that. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go literally anywhere else on my days off. And the one thing that does kind of suck sometimes is the schedules for chefs is, I mean, we're working at the most popular hours that
Sure.
anyone else tries to go out to eat. So to go out on like, a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday when most other restaurants are also
Sure.
closed, or they're not at
Or their
the
primary cook chef isn't working that day either. So like, having the meal on that day, on the off time, isn't
Mhm.
maybe the same as having it at Friday at 9 o'clock.
Exactly. So, it's a double-edged sword, but that's also why I like having my food blog, because it kind of pushes me to find those spots that are open on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that other cooks, other people in the food industry like me can, hunt that out and find that good spot that they too can have that good meal on their day off and relax, if they're the same type of build like me and they really do want that good meal to wind down.
Yeah. What's been the biggest difference between, say, New York City and Austin when it comes to food that you've noticed?
I mean, truly, from what I've seen, the difference is picky eaters, I'd have to say. I feel like New Yorkers are, I mean, especially Long Islanders. Long Islanders are very, very specific about their orders, their dietary restrictions, everything like that. It's like you'll get a ticket that's like one order, but it's like, yay big, because it's just like, yeah, I want the meat sandwich, but no meat, extra cheese, blah, 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 no salt, blah, blah. And you're just like, why did you come here for this? If you're like, I think Long Islanders are so used to diners because we're a very big diner spot.
Mhm.
Diners are like our bread and butter. We
Right.
love having it our way, having any type of meal at any hour. That's what diners are for. But then we're so used to that we go to any other restaurant and we expect the same type of service, where that's not the case. If you're going to any other restaurant, that chef is making that menu because because they made it that
Sure.
specific way. And if you're stripping it of everything that chef wanted to give you, that's that's not the menu. That's
Yeah.
not what they're doing it for. And you're kind of killing the magic of that food by
Hmm.
doing that. But so many people are used to having it their way on Long Island that it's just so picky, and it can get to you. It can definitely get to you. But
Yeah.
here I've seen a lot less of that. I mean, there's still your
Oh,
particular
sure.
orders, that's just life, but it's way less. So that's good, at
I say
least.
that probably makes it nice for you in the kitchen for sure that way. I know, for me originally moving from the Midwest, like I don't feel like, I mean, there's definitely is still variety. I mean, compared to New York, obviously there's going to be less variety just because of the kind of international culture and stuff of the city. But like I've kind of always been surprised at the like Italian food always seemed like kind of such a staple food
Mm,
growing up, even though I'm not Italian. And that's always been one of the things that you're kind of like, oh, there's really not much Italian food in
yeah.
Austin, and not a whole lot of really good Italian food when there is. And so that's kind of always been one of the surprising things. Now, don't get me wrong, we can't get Tex-Mex or Mexican the same way up north that we get down here. So it's definitely just, there's definitely
There's some trade-offs, man. I
trade-offs
mean,
for sure.
I
But
mean, listen, I miss, and I'm gonna be working on this as like a personal project, but like pizza and bagels are staples of New York. I feel like most people know that, but like
mhm,
those are the two things that you just can't get them as good anywhere else. I mean, there are a few spots here that have actually wowed me, that have been pretty good. I think Home Slice
mhm,
pizza has been pretty good, and Nervous Charlie's. Nervous
okay,
Charlie's, I
really,
think they're on North Lamar. But though Nervous Charlie's Bagels has been really good, and Home Slice Pizza has been the place that I've gone to for pretty legit pizza that I've actually been like, that is not bad. The sauce is good. Like the
yeah,
crust is actually good. It's crisp. It's, you know, a lot of other places, it's almost like they're just putting ketchup and cheese on a cardboard box, and they're like, "This is pizza," and you're
yeah,
like, "Mm,
not so
"No, it's
much.
not."
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a big bagel person, so I definitely don't know. But it doesn't feel like there's like a ton of bagel air. In Austin, it's breakfast tacos is what you have for breakfast, not
Yes.
bagels.
Hmm.
I would say the pizza feels like it's more of a melting pot of different types of things, right? And so in New York, if you're from there, you like New York style pizza. If you're from Chicago, you like Chicago style pizza.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel like the pizza places that are around here are usually maybe a little bit more kind of a mashup of some of those kind of things versus maybe being as New Yorky or as Chicago-y. There's a place pretty far north, two places from the Chicago side of things, a place called Manja's that used to have a few more locations. That's a deep dish style pizza that I know is
No.
a place that I really like, and then a place called Saccone's, which
Succumbs.
is
Okay.
it's supposed to be a New Jersey style pizza, and I feel like it's a really good. Um, I feel probably probably my top pizza place if I really have to.
Pretty
Uh,
legit.
yeah,
All right.
so that's a kind of again one that's less because it's not essential as Home Slice and stuff. It's not quite as on the radar for a lot of people, which is
Yeah.
also kind of nice too.
Yeah, and one thing, like, I mean, listen, obviously, like Tex-Mex is, and breakfast tacos,
Mhm.
everything like that is gonna be what I go to here. But one thing that truly surprised me about Austin was the amount of Vietnamese spots and
Mhm.
how good they are. Like, there are an endless amount of Vietnamese places to go to, and I haven't had a bad meal since. Like, I've been obsessed with banh mi sandwiches lately. Those are like one of my go-to sandwiches if I'm ever like having a craving for something. That and some pho is on at least when it's like actually cold out here.
Sure. Yeah.
Man, oh my god. Like it hits the spot. They're so good, and it's crazy. There are an endless amount.
Yeah. Um, So I know for we again as we connected as doing for you as a contributor to the Austin Spotlight magazine, which I kind of relaunched. And so I know one of the things I wanted to talk about today was your article about kind of the top five
Yeah.
Austin happy hour deals. And so kind of curious how you came up with the list and how you kind of, check those things out or find, kind of find those places.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I don't really like I yes, I have a good amount of friends here in Austin, thankfully, since I've moved, but like most of them do work when I'm not working, or we're just like always missing each other.
Schedules,
So
yes, the schedules don't necessarily align unless they're other service industry people at that point.
yeah. So I tend to do a lot of things by myself, and I like to find good deals here and there, and happy hours seem to be a really big thing in at least in Texas, I think.
Mhm.
They really just have good deals all around. So I just started looking around, and I'm not the biggest drinker. That's never really been my thing, but they a lot of places have had great food deals at the
Mhm.
same time as having great drink deals. So I just started looking for the most interesting ones, the ones that sounded the most enticing, the ones that had the biggest bang for their buck. And slowly but surely, I would just go on a day off by myself and see, what's open on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I would slowly but surely find these spots that were just like this this is a legit deal. Like this is really good. I think one of the first spots was actually a Vietnamese spot. It was the Elizabeth Street Cafe. That
Mhm.
is, it's more south. Uh, it's after you cross that bridge that's on Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
Um, but I went in there and I didn't even realize that it was happy hour. I was just like, I wanted to check it out, but it was around like 3 or 4 o'clock, and I got myself like a banh mi and like an app, and I got myself a drink. And when the bill came, it was only like 10, $12, and I was like, that's not right. Like
What did they miss?
yeah, I was like, did my server mess up, or is my server like being really nice to me? What's happening?
Yeah.
But like I checked, and there was just like happy hour discount. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna be back here for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think I had their lemongrass beef banh mi, and I had some of their, I think it was like their summer rolls that are filled with like those vermicelli noodles and like shrimp and barbecue beef or
Mhm.
barbecue pork. And they have just like a trio of different dipping sauces that you can have. And I was like, this they go so hard for it, and it was awesome. Like, because I think that they're Vietnamese, but they're also French inspired. So they just really put in those good cooking techniques for each dish. And their banh mi's are super fresh. The meat is so tender and flavorful. They're different dipping sauces. You want to slather everything with everything. And at the same time, for anyone that does want a cocktail, they were like $2 off any cocktail of theirs. So I was like, all right, well, that's a great deal. I'm definitely coming back. And when I find friends that actually want to hang out with me on my days off, I'll bring them too.
Yeah. Have
Let's
you
see.
have you found on that kind of same note, have you found I feel like especially from like a New York or East Coast perspective that everything's a little bit earlier here. Again, I've lived in Austin for like 17 years now, so you just get or you're used to that being the time. But right, you mentioned that you get there at 3 o'clock and you're like didn't realize that this would be happy hour because I don't believe in like New York that would be happy hour at all. Like happy hour is not going to be until 5 or 6 because
Yeah.
people don't have dinner until 9 or 10, where everything's happening kind of that hour or so earlier
And I
here in
love that.
comparison. Yeah.
I've noticed that, and I do love it. I'm like, listen, because like I am of that mindset that like when I do want to go eat, I also don't want to deal with traffic and
Mhm.
like and everything like that, and like rush hour. So like the fact that like it can be earlier and I can get out and get a good meal and like still be back at home within
Yeah.
like 10, 15 minutes. And because like you want to enjoy your meal and not have it ruined by like someone cutting you off, like
Yeah, in
being
traffic on the way home. Yeah,
exactly being stuck on the I-35. Like, well, I'm not digesting any of this. Well, this
yeah.
is upsetting. But like, honestly, that's perfect for me. I love that. Let's see what else.
One of
So,
the other ones was foreign and domestic.
oh yeah, all right. So foreign and domestic, I found them by actually going on a date. I went on a date and I saw that they had a happy hour, but like I never actually went myself. But I checked online after my date and I was like, they have a burger that's only like $8, and they also had like $4 apps. So I went there again by myself and I got their, I believe it's their like white cheddar and black pepper popovers
Hmm.
that are so good. They're like little clouds of bread. Who doesn't love carbs?
Yeah.
And so I got that, and I got their burger, which is literally like a farm to table gourmet burger, like cheddar and an egg on top. And I was like, this is a steal. I like if I had this every day, I mean, I would probably die, but it it was so good, like because they're one of those farm to table places that you feel like you need to pay an arm and a leg just to go there, and you need to like save up. But like their happy hour is so worth it. Getting a burger that is that good, that gourmet, I'd run there in a heartbeat. So that was the second spot that I found that was just like writing this down, going back immediately. Um, and then what's that other spot? I'm terrible with
Salty
names.
now.
Yes, the salty so.
Salty so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the salty so, I saw that like fried chicken sandwich with the honey and the rosemary, and I was like, I don't need anything else. I don't I like I you I don't need a single other thing. I will order 5 of whatever that is, because that sounds like the most decadent thing I've ever heard in my life. And for it to be that cheap for a happy hour, like why wouldn't you want to go there right away? You know, it was just one of those things that my the little fatty in me was just like, yeah, yeah, that's what I want. Because
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm in Texas. Why wouldn't I want fried chicken? And
Yeah.
then they have all of this gourmet toppings on top, and it's a little bit cheaper than the normal menu.
Yeah.
Come
I would
on.
say fried chicken's probably not a big staple of the New York restaurant and
Yeah, no, it's like
area.
we
Yeah.
try, like you try,
Yeah.
you can have, and listen, I'm not saying that there aren't places that have, good fried chicken in
Sure.
New York, but like Texas is the place to get it.
No, again, right? Like, yeah, like again, kind of going back to that Italian Mexican thing I was talking about. Like, there's just always going to be, like when you are in kind of the heart of that area, it's always going to be better
Yes.
and more options.
Yes, exactly. So that was because I'm not really drawn to alcohol, but when you find food that
Yeah.
is just that good, I'm gonna go. I'm
Yep.
gonna go right away. You know. What was the other spot that I picked? Oh yeah,
The
the
Liberty.
Liberty.
Yep.
So the Liberty is actually around the corner from the Easy Tiger location that I work at.
Mhm.
And me and my coworkers, that was literally the first bar that I ever really went to since I moved here. And I was like, these drinks are super cheap. Like, you want to get like a tall boy of Lone Star or something, it's like $2 or like 250, and you have like a few of those. That's great. Like if I want to go out for drinks, the Liberty is the spot that I actually do want to go to, because you're not spending an arm and a leg. Like I know that Sixth Street is kind of divided,
Yep.
whether like you're on the right side of I-35 or the left. Um, and honestly, like it's because I'm not that big of a drinker. Like if I do end up going out, like I don't want to spend that much money. Like I'd
Sure.
rather just like have a few beers, have a good time, and just like relax. I'm not trying to go to some nightclub that
Yeah.
everything
With
is
the $15 drinks and stuff.
exactly like that's just not my thing.
Yep.
So I also saw that they do like all these drink specials that start from the time that they open till around like 8 o'clock, and they're like I think it's like a shot and a beer for like $7 or $8, and I'm like, That's an amazing deal. Are you kidding me? Like, and it's not like some of them are like a well whiskey or like a well tequila, but like they're not bad. They're not like the grossest thing
Yeah,
you've ever had, but like it's just like a good cheap beer and a good cheap shot, and it's a great price. And when you're with your friends, they have a great
exactly. Yeah,
backdoor like outdoor seating area that can fit a lot of people. Um, I think they have like a pinball machine inside. They have a pool table, and they also have a food truck in the back that does. I believe they do some form of Asian cuisine that is. I mean, I've had it more than once, and
yeah.
it's
Well,
awesome.
especially once you've had that shot in that beer, then
Oh yeah, no, it's evil. It's a little bit evil. They know exactly what they're
sure.
doing. They're like
Yes,
the second that alcohol touches these people's lips, they're gonna
yes.
come running to us, and it's been worth it every time. So that's definitely a great spot for some low key drinks with friends.
And
Um,
the final spot you put down there was maybe a little bit of a surprise. Would maybe be a little bit of a surprise to
yeah,
the diehards, but you put down the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, listen, I don't go to the Cheesecake Factory often. I really don't. That's why I was actually so surprised when I went there and it turned out to be happy hour. So I was at the Barton. Is it the Barton Creek Mall?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I went there because me and my coworkers were actually doing a holiday photo shoot. I was dressed up as Santa, all this different stuff. And afterwards, I think it was around like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And my friend was like, let's go to Cheesecake Factory. It's right here in the mall. And I think that they have happy hour. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that they had happy hour. I never even crossed my mind. So we go there and I'm looking at their happy hour, and you know how they have that like, it's
Oh
like
yeah,
this big of a menu.
the binder.
Exactly. Like I'm gonna say half of it was for their happy hour, and also their drinks are really good.
Mhm.
Like I know that they're like a chain, but like they have their drinks down to a science. They have a pink lemonade that is addicting. Like you barely taste the alcohol, but it is quite strong.
Yes.
And it's like I think I had like two of them, and I was like, I need to stop.
Yeah. These taste good, and it doesn't feel like I'm drinking alcohol, but I can tell that I am.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm dressed as Santa. I don't want to be I want to be the drunk Santa just wandering around the mall right now. Like it's it's not the situation I want to be in. But I think they have like a $5 burger that's like a double cheeseburger that's ginormous.
Yeah.
And they also have a smaller version of that that's just mini sliders that's I think like maybe $1 cheaper. They have just have tons of different shareables. I went with like a group of 8 people, and we all got like 2 apps each to share. And I think between that and the drinks, like we paid like $30 each for everything. Like it was awesome when we were stuffed. They have these Brussels sprouts that are really good. They have these like cheese balls that are just crunchy on the outside. They have a dipping sauce. Everything has a dipping sauce, and I like the food was actually quality. It's not like
Yep.
you're getting some kind of microwaved Applebee's type situation going on. Like the people at the Cheesecake Factory are actually doing a really good job for a chain, for a massive chain. Like between the drinks and the food and like everything came out hot and fresh. Like we didn't wait that long. It was a really, really good deal. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Uh, with um with the new year, obviously there's so I mean it's cool to kind of have different places to check out, especially with shorter daylight hours and stuff like that too, but also we get people with the new year doing one of the biggest new year's goals or resolutions is kind of trying to be in shape. So this is hopefully a balance to like probably shouldn't be going out to these places all the time if you're really trying to get the in shape new year's resolution, but as a way to as a reward for staying on track and to sell, because if you get too restrictive, that's how you fall off the wagon too. So you got to kind of
Mhm.
balance that out. And so I think these are some really amazing options to check out.
Oh yeah, because like as as much as I also want to like try and get on like the fitness track and everything like that, I'm also trying to be a little more financially responsible as
Yeah.
well. So to be able to, not eat as badly as I usually do, but
Yeah.
then also save a little money at the same time, and you find these certain hole in the wall places that have really great deals, with also just like really gourmet, delicious food. That's a win-win for me, so I'm definitely about that New Year's resolution
Yeah.
life.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I know we'll have, so definitely end up kind of posting. I'll probably in the Facebook Live here, I'll end up linking your article so that people who want to check it out can see that and kind of learn more and remember those places. Do you have any ideas on what you're going to want to talk about for February as far as
February,
Austin food?
I think I might want to try and tackle my favorite breakfast tacos that I've had thus
Ooh.
far, because I mean I've had a lot of them.
I feel like that potentially could be the second most debated, fought about food item behind barbecue. Like if
Yeah,
you want to start a fight in
yeah,
Austin or Texas,
yeah.
mention, you just kind of rate the different barbecue joints, and that'll definitely get people upset
Oh yeah.
quickly, which is awesome. But yeah, no, but the breakfast tacos I feel like are not too far behind, because in a lot of cases there are some joints that do both, and so so like it
Hmm.
has kind of that the honestly the best breakfast tacos usually have the brisket ones instead of just the bacon and some different things that
Hmm.
way too. So that'll be a good one to look forward to, and also again, in helping with those resolutions, the breakfast tacos, you got to have them in the morning, so it means you got to get up and get going with your day and stuff. So
Oh yeah, it gets everything started. And honestly, for me as well, like it also comes down to like the salsa that you put on top,
yeah,
because I usually need a salsa for my breakfast tacos. Like
yeah,
I mean, listen, some breakfast tacos are good by themselves, but I really can judge a place by how much love and care they put into their salsa,
sure.
because it can make or break it. Is it spicy enough? Is it flavorful enough by itself? It doesn't even need spice. All these different things, they all factor in. And I'm a salsa boy. So
There you go. Which as a chef, that shouldn't probably be very very surprising at all.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on and chat. Like, it's been interesting to see some of your spots. There's been um, a couple. There's been the Elizabeth Street one I've not actually been to, so that's a place that I definitely need to hit up at some point in time, and make it back to the other ones as well too, because it is always fun to check those places out. So it'd be exciting to go do some happy hour stuff sometime soon.
Oh yeah. I hope you enjoy all the places that I wrote about.
Yeah. No, again, I'm sure again, I've been to a bunch of them and they're all great. So I'm sure the one that I haven't is awesome as well too. So, any kind of final words for people looking to check out Austin happy hour places in the coming days and months
uh
or weeks?
just be adventurous. Look for spots that nobody's talking about, because like certain spots, like if they're too popular, you could be waiting for a really long time for something that might actually disappoint you. So sometimes you really just gotta take a risk and go to the spots that are just a little more unknown, and trust your gut. If it looks really good, do your own research, and just try and suss those places out. You might find a really, really surprising treat.
And variety is the spice of life. So by checking out different
That's it.
places, you're gonna, that's how you can find the new hidden gem or your new favorite spot versus going to the same old places all the time.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat today, Ryan, and wish you a great day.
Troy, it was a pleasure, and I will talk to you later.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.